Thank you, Councillor Henry.
Thank you, Acting Chair. Part of this case revolves around the sale of steam to make it work. Bowmanville residentially isn't set up for steam. Is there a business case for residential steam heating anywhere in Clarington?
I think the base case in this project is electric only. It's capable of generating and exporting steam to perhaps local customers that move into that area, and that would have to be assessed technically and economically at the time that we saw a specific opportunity.
And there's currently down around the energy park, there's no business case for steam to be sold to businesses?
There could be. We haven't been told of a specific structure or example against which to propose or price.
And I guess the last question I have is, if this was to pass, you would have no problem where the fuel came from within the Durham region. So opening up old landfill sites to supply a source of fuel would be a logical thing to do.
Well, it's something that certainly should be looked at. Other communities have. There are potential problems with that in terms of the quality of the material and how clean it is. But it's something we would certainly be willing to help the region look at.
And how many communities around your sphere currently mine landfill sites? Any?
I'm not aware that any do at this point.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Drumm.
Phillips, you heard Mr. Brooks this afternoon. He gave a good account of himself, at least in my opinion, and I suspect in the opinion of many around here. But you're poles apart, absolutely poles apart. And I heard you just now talk about what a wonderful group you are with your union people or with your workers and how you treat them, and et cetera, et cetera. What I want to ask you, and Mr. Brooks, when he put this thing on the screen and he talked, did Mr. Brooks say anything that was untrue?
Well, there were a number of things that he said. No, yes, a number of things that he said that I disagree with.
Well,
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. What is your question, sir?
I've asked you. You've spoken here, and you said what a great company you are. I'm not saying you're not a great company, but what Mr. Brooks has been talking about is the labour problems he's had there, as you know. But I'm asking you now: has he, in his films here, has he said anything or put anything on there that was not true?
Yes, I think he said a number of things that aren't true. By innuendo, he's implying that we have been adjudicated and found that we have violated law, and we have not. There's been a general attack on our reputation.
Mr. Brooks said you've been charged. That's all. Did not say the charge was stuck. You said you've been charged. That's as far as it's gone. It'll be adjudicated next month or whenever. That's all he said. I listened very carefully. That's all he said. Absolutely no more. And I'm asking you now, what did he say was untrue? What did he show was untrue?
His characterization of our company and being anti-labor and hostile to labor is an outright lie.
Okay.
And I will, Councillor, I will rely on the record of our company to speak for that. Okay,
you talked about your labour things at a fair length here, but you literally glossed over the fines you got. I don't believe you mentioned it once.
Mentioned what, sir?
About the fines that we can see on the internet and what Mr. Brooks put up there today. You never said, you never made any remark whatever about them.
Which findings are you referring to, sir?
Surely to God, you're here in the afternoon, and your memory's a little better than mine probably, but he showed where the fines were in New Jersey and all around the place.
Fines, I saw.
And you never mentioned them in your 10 minutes.
Well, I referred to them, but I'll mention them now. Our record of exceedences and the fines that associate with that is a matter of public record. Not disputing those, not trying to defend them. But I have said, and I think it's important to state this again, that all of those lists and all of those references and the fines and so forth that were raised today fall into the category of that 1% when we performed out of compliance. Is it acceptable? I think I said we're not satisfied with 99.9%. We won't be satisfied until we get to 100%.
Well, let me ask you one more question. Why didn't you report the exceedance?
I can't speak to the specifics of reporting. Sometimes those are technical issues. There's an implication it is deliberate. I can't tell you that it was. So I can't answer your question there.